Hey everyone, this is Jay Hosfelt. I'm the lead animator at Epic Games, and I'm joining you for the month of June's Anim Challenge review. The theme this month was first-person perspective. There were a lot of great submissions, and I will be reviewing the winner, who is Anton Chechenev. So hey, congrats Anton, job well done, and let's get to your review. All right, so let's let this play a couple times. So it's cool. We have someone lifting a slice of pizza, and a miniature Homer Simpson comes to try to take it, and he doesn't succeed. So right off the bat, I want to say this idea is insane, way out in left field, and that is fantastic. When you do first-person perspective, a lot of times people will think of doing a cool weapon reload or a super awesome magic cast thing, and they may put a lot of polish into what the fingers are doing and the effects or the weapon and all the dangly bits. But at the end of the day, an original idea executed well is going to totally outdo any non-original idea executed to perfection. And we've all seen, first person reloads and shooting and casting and, card tricks and whatnot. But I have never seen a miniature Homer Simpson try to steal someone's pizza. So well done on that front. I come from video games, so this just sparks all sorts of game ideas too. I'm like, all right, what is a pizza? Is it a power up? You eat it and now you can jump, over some chasm. And then, someone else tosses out a miniature Homer Simpson clone to foil your plans. So it's awesome. It's really out there. So well done. Well done. So let's get to some animation review on this. So I'm just making sure my iPad is in sync here with what you guys are seeing. Looks good. All right. So I'm going to start off with just the hands first. And the most challenging part of any first-person perspective is the hands and the arms. And, Anton, I think your instincts were fantastic in that Homer is the star of the show, so we don't want the hands to outstage him. Yet, I will say we could probably spend some more effort on the hands, especially the left hand in particular. So, as this left hand lifts up, it really feels at this point just kind of like a stiff prop. It's like the wrist and the forearm are pretty much in lockstep with each other throughout the piece. And meanwhile, the right hand actually has some nice, there's a little bit of drag on the right hand here. You can see the right hand drag and then overshoot and settle and all the nice things you like to see in animation. And I feel like the left hand just didn't get the love. Also, when this right hand pulls back, you get this really nice, break in the wrist, kind of gives some floppiness to the hand, which then carries over to the floppiness of Homer Simpson right here. So you get, that carries through. The floppiness of the hand carries through there. And again, the left hand, we're not seeing it. So what I would do is I would just add a little more looseness when the hand is moving. I do think when you're lifting the pizza, it's going to be in lockstep with the right hand. So I think that's fine. I will say, I think to add some interest to lifting the pizza is I think we're missing character intent. I feel like we're lifting the pizza as a staging device for Homer, but you could probably use the beginning of this animation to give the intent that they're lifting the pizza to possibly eat it or something. So, as they lift it, maybe you start aiming the pizza, towards the mouth of the character. And that's what they're doing until Homer Simpson interrupts that moment. And then, once they react to Homer, I think you could probably get the pizza staging back to where it needs to be. But yeah, I think if you had a little more intent on why is this pizza being lifted, it'll kind of help sell the story a little bit. So I want to get to first person arms. They're always a challenge because they're right up against the camera, and the distortion of the camera angle can basically turn your forearm into these long sticks, and the elbows are usually off screen. And so it's sometimes really hard to animate and make those feel loose and not just like, paddles sticking out off the screen. So I think one thing you can do, and I'll use the left arm as an example, is right here, you get this nice arc of this wrist coming down and going up. But I think if you did a little something where like maybe you led with your elbow, maybe the elbow leads a little bit, and that way you kind of get a feel that your elbows are doing something, that these arms are bending. And it'll also help with these like solid breaks in the wrist. So I feel like the pose on the right hand, right here, the wrist just kind of feels a little broken coming off this angle. And I think maybe this would change Homer's staging a little bit, but I feel like if maybe the arm is a little more angled this way, it would give you less of this, this harsh angle of the wrist. Either that, or maybe rotate the wrist just this way, just a little bit. So you can kind of just smooth out this harsh angle. It's not big, it's okay, but I think push that a little more. I do think it's unfortunate that I believe it's just part of this rig, is that your thumb doesn't have like that extra joint that can help that shape read. So I think you might want to hide that a little bit with just reposing the hand just a little bit. Going back to the left hand, this is just a little more posing stuff as well. I feel like the thumb, right now the pizza feels like it's just kind of rested in this little nook of the hand. I think you probably just rotate that thumb down to feel like you got a little more of a grip on that pizza. And then, sometimes when you hold a pizza, you're kind of spreading your fingers out a little bit because that pizza is like loose and you're trying to get as much of a foundation for that pizza to sit on. So you might want to try getting a little bit of space between this pinky and just kind of see if you can get that little, like it's holding the pizza more, kind of flat against the fingers. The pizza feels really, nice and loose, like it's reacting to physics a lot, and you really see it, which also kind of, it kind of draws attention to how stiff this left hand is. But the pizza feels nice and loose, and it's great because it feels like this nice warm melted cheese pizza. I do think the way the tip of the triangle of the pizza is moving doesn't feel as natural as it could. So, I think you probably a little bit of an upward angle to the tip, and then then it could overlap here a little bit, and then settle back in to that. I feel like we're just missing some looseness of the pizza. And same thing when you're pulling it from Homer's super minor note, but I think I would just have this little, the end of the pizza just lag a little bit. Just to add a little floppiness to it. The pizza feels really nice on the lift up. All right, let's start talking about Homer here. So I want to point out some really nice things you did. So for the introduction of Homer, you just see his hand lift up, and if you notice, the hand doesn't move in screen, so it has time for the eye to get to where the hand is. You know, the fingers anticipate by spreading, and then they plop down. And just if you watch this, the readability of that is just great. It's fantastic timing, the posing, so really well done. The squashiness, or I guess the stretchiness of the rig is really readable here, and it really works. And then when Homer comes up, you know, I'm torn on his introduction. So I think it does work that he's coming on screen and he's breaking that fourth wall. You know, he's looking at you first, like, hey, I'm here. But there's another part of me that's thinking again about intent. And he's climbing up for this pizza. He's risking his little life to get to this pizza. So I'm wondering if maybe as he comes up and over, he's looking at the pizza first. And then after he blinks, he looks at you to see, like, well, what are you going to do about it? No, not much. And then he goes back to going. So I feel like maybe it's worth trying. Like I said, I'm torn. I like the intro of looking at the screen. I'm Homer. You know, it's really readable. It's really appealing. But I feel like sometimes maybe the intent could sell it more. He's looking like, what's his goal here? I love how he just flops over. He leads with his head. I guess he's like kind of pushing off with his leg, but that big large rear of his gets this momentum, and he just like plops on that arm. And he's so heavy that if you watch the right arm, that right arm really reacts nicely. So my guess is Anton just kind of probably ran out of some time to get to that left arm, because he did such a good job on this right arm. Nice motion of the fingers and reaction. I will say, sorry I'm picking on this left arm so much, Anton, but you know, when Homer crests over this right arm, he plops on it, that arm really reacts really nicely. Well, you know, that arm is connected to your chest, and therefore your left arm is connected to the chest. I feel like you could probably carry over just a little bit of motion, just a little tiny bit to the left arm as well. So when this goes down, you could probably delay by a frame or two as well. Just, you know, have a little bit of reaction. So just a little. All right, so here we have Homer doing this mad dash scramble up the arm. And I want to play this game, because if you look at these poses, you have, you know, left arm up, fingers are spread. It's really readable pose. You know, that the right arm comes up, really readable. You know, just really nice shape where his elbow kind of pulls up. And if you look at it, it's just a few frames, right? But when you play it, you just get that really good sense of the scramble. And it's really nice, kind of cartoony, almost like a little bit of a kind of like a smear frame feel on these. It's happening so fast. But if I were to like truly get down to the mechanics and like really study these frames, again, I feel like maybe just kind of rotate the hips. So, you know, when one leg is up, have the hips rotate to lift up for that as well. And it's kind of like right here in this scene, just the way this leg just kind of jams in to this sphere. Something about it just feels a little bit broken. And I don't know if that could be fixed just by kind of rotating that pelvis a little bit more to coincide with what the legs are doing. So I really like the way Homer reacts here, where he is being lifted up by the hand. He almost loses his balance here. You really see it on his face. think he's right back to the pizza. He's not going to waste any time. I think my feedback here is just with the hand and Homer and just the readability. I think it is readable, but I think this can be made a little more readable. But if you look at the shape of everything, the finger gets lost right behind Homer. And then you got a little bit of a tangent, in this shape. Pinky is readable. And then the thumb just kind of gets lost in this silhouette. So I'm just wondering if there's maybe a different final hand pose for staging that could have been used. So maybe, all you need is just a little bit of the thumb, out here. And then, you can get a finger or something, and then, these are fine. Maybe if you rotated like the wrist this way. That's an option, or, I guess you can go the other way. But I think just if you could rotate the hand in a way where the thumb just kind of breaks that silhouette, whether it's on this side or this side. I think that would just help a little bit, because you're just getting a shape that's a little bit lost. It's not terrible. It's just it could be more readable. So there's some really nice squash and stretch. So, as Homer jumps up, you really feel he leads with his head and his chest. And you really get that sense. Then like a couple frames later, I would expect his legs could still be, maybe stretched just a little bit more, just a little bit. I know sometimes having IK on feet with the stretch rig doesn't work that well. I just feel like we're losing a little bit of some stretch on the legs where everything else really has a lot of stretch. And then of course here at the apex, the compressed legs, that feels really nice. The really nice bendy arms is really nice. You did a good job of making a 3D character feel loose like the cartoon. One more thing I want to point out that I really like with Anton's choice here is, it's a profile shot of Homer, and the way the staging works, that's the right call. But you tilted the head just enough so where you can get a suggestion of both pupils on a side profile, and that just helps out. It gives him, it keeps him more on model to the cartoon, but also just gives you a good eye line that's readable. And of course, I really enjoy this last frame. He's on screen. You just go all out, and you just get those arms in, get the legs in. That's really nice. That just helps the just kind of dropping off screen feeling. Some more polish you can do to the hands. So if you watch the right hand after he jumps, it has a little bit of antic. Right when he drops, you see that hand drop just a little bit, which is great. I think that would be room to get a little more contrast in poses. Even if you keep the hand in this pose when he's on it, what I was talking about, like kind of like an unreadable pose. I feel like once he jumps off, you really, there's really no reason to keep this hand as kind of an obscure of a pose as it currently is. It's very hard to read this, because it's a 4-finger, like not quite anatomically correct hand. So I think right here is a good opportunity to get that hand in a pose that's more readable silhouette-wise. And that way, when you have this small antic, you can also do something more readable. Because, if you're looking at a silhouette of this shape versus when you do this, there's actually not much of a difference in silhouette. You're seeing the motion. I think you just do something with a little more like either twisting the wrist, get that thumb a little more clear. super minor note. I do want to say the spacing of the fall is really nice. I really like the kind of hang time when he's scrambling in the air, and just the drop off. I think the timing of the pizza pull is fine. I mean, maybe if anything, you could delay it by just a little more. Maybe you could delay the pizza pullback just a little more, so it's a little more closer of a call. So maybe here, Homer has hope that he can get to it. But right now, you just never get the sense that he's ever going to make it. Just maybe one frame. Delay on that pizza pullback. Something when I kind of like the pose. You're almost up to this pose here on the right hand, or when you're lifting up, you got the thumb here, you got this finger here. And I feel like if you really got, the tip of the pizza there, that's like where you're gripping, the pizza. And I really like how you kind of have this finger out, and it gives you this like pinky out, drinking some tea feel. And when someone's like ready to eat, that their hands show it. And I feel like you have this, but this is actually just kind of happening during the transition between two poses. And I feel like you could probably hold that pose, this pose. I think you could probably keep a little more of that here, so you get this like thumb here, and this finger comes in, and then maybe you still have this pinky out a little bit, like you see here, especially as you're if you do add that turn the pizza to toward your face to eat it a little bit, that kind of help. And then what's good about that is think of like this as an emotional pose of the right hand. This hand is kind of in that, ooh, I'm ready to eat this pizza. And that gives you a good opportunity to change that hand pose in reaction to Homer. So now it's like more of a confused, like, the fingers have loosened a little bit, like what? Or maybe they've tightened a little bit, but they're not in that like ready to eat, holding the pizza pinky out pose, but they're in a, pose kind of like what's there now. And maybe you could show a little bit of surprise in the hand, when Homer comes up, just a little bit. I think that's area I would push most, is just showing thought of the player through the hands more. I feel like the physics reaction to Homer is great on the right hand. And I really like this lift up is really nice of the hand and Homer coming up. I think that's this right here. It's really nice motion. So yeah, Anton, like crazy idea. I'm a huge fan of The Simpsons, so this is cool seeing Homer this way. It makes me want to play some kind of crazy first person Simpsons thing. So first person, so it's still FPS, right? But yeah, that just involves crazy things that's not shooting. We have so many games with just shooting and casting and whatnot. So this is great. Thanks for doing this. And let me let this play a couple more times and see if there's any other things I want to call out. Yeah, I have to say, watching this again, I think I'm a fan more of Homer, just looking at you when he appears and he kind of does that blink. Let me see. Yeah, I think having him come over and do the blink, kind of looking at you, and he's kind of got this like derpy face, like I like that. And I think if he was like looking at the pizza, you'd lose an opportunity for an introduction. So I'm going to say stick with what you had. If I think maybe he's looking at it right here, but ultimately he's looking at you. Since he is a little derpy and goofy, maybe the blinks don't need to be so twinned. You could probably get by with just offsetting one lid, even if they like the timing of when they blink and open is the same. Have just a little bit of difference in how much the eyes are open. I think you just add a little more organicness to the blink. So I want to point out, I like that you have offset the right and left hand. They're not both just starting to go up at the same time, and they do settle differently. You probably could push that just a little bit more, especially on the left hand. I think you could probably just have that settle take longer and just a little bit. It's not bad at all right now what you have. There's a little bit of kind of equal height of the hands. Again, I think that's a good decision. Usually it's not, but I think in this case, this is you're creating a chasm for Homer to jump over. So I think it's important that the pizza can't be too low, or it'll feel like he should have not jumped as high, or if it's higher, you're not going to get this great arc. This great arc. So I feel like decision wise, that's a good place to have the pizza. However, I think once we get to this part, and remember I talked about doing, you have this little drop down antic on the right hand. Here, I think once we get here and this hand is moving, maybe you can just kind of pull the hand back down or do something just to kind of break up the sameness on both hands. Yeah, maybe pull the hand a little bit towards you or something. Yeah, so I'm going to get nitpicky here, but it's something I noticed after a couple playthroughs. And I kind of brought it up when I was talking about the right hand. How you're kind of holding on to the tip of the pizza here where you're like pinching it. So if you look at this pose, let me get rid of my drawing. All right. So I feel like, the pizza's making contact here. And right here, this thumb just slowly starts floating off for no clear reason. And if you watch it play, it just feels like really floaty. I would keep that. I would keep that pin to the pizza, like you're holding your grip longer. And then that way, when you see that the hand has reacted to Homer, like he's come over and you're like, what? Then maybe, by frame 39, you can get to this, this pose. But the transition to it is only over a few frames versus, 20 frames right now. It just kind of floats there. Yeah, it's really nice, Anton. Job well done. Thanks for throwing this out there and letting the world see it. And I'll conclude now. So thank you very much. You guys take care, stay safe, and I will see you guys later.